mindset as you go into Game 5?
Before I start, I want to apologize to y'all. I didn't talk the other day. I was quite a bit frustrated and very careful of. Didn't want to get myself fined, but more so say something and make it sound like an excuse when you struggle and lose. And I didn't come up here and talk, and I felt like a coward when I got home, so I wanted to apologize to y'all for that. As far as we just got to win a game. Win one game, take it from there. I think that's our mindset. Do all that we can, figure out a way to win one. You win one, everything changes. So that'll be our mindset going into Game 5.
Draymond, players like Ant are going to get theirs at some point in the game, but do you think that tonight was more a lack of a defensive effort on you guys or just some star power that they had?
They hit shots. They shot the ball extremely well. I thought we defended good in spurts, but, they got going and we never was able to put out the fire. So got to give them a lot of credit. Kind of felt like they were due for a great shooting night. Sucks that it had to be tonight, but it was, and we just got to figure it out and coming back in Game 5.
Draymond, you guys were closing the half really well, and then, of course, Ant hits that big shot at the very end. And you and Gary defended it like you should, but how big was that shot for him to go down at that time?
It was huge. I think, one thing we talked about at halftime is like, yeah, he hit a tough shot, but what could we have done differently? Could we have not let him walk up to the spot, But it's like every time we're on a run, we're letting Ant break the run up. And somebody can break the run up, but it can't be their best player. Our defense should be so keyed in at that point during a run that it can't be their best player just getting to a spot and raising up. And I'm not just talking about that play. There were several points, we're on a run and even last game, he get to the free throw line and just raise up, and it's like, so I think we got to do a better job there. And that's not one guy. That's a complete team effort when you're guarding a guy like that. So I think we got to be better there. Once we get the run, just got to put up more force defensively.
You guys only got up 27 threes, and it was pretty low volume last game too. How do you generate enough offense basically in 2025 when it doesn't seem like you guys can get up that many threes?
Yeah, I think, number one, everybody got to be ready to shoot. You get the open one, you got to let it go. I think sometimes we're passing some up. You're without Steph. At times, the first good look oftentimes will be the best look, And when you got Steph out there, you can turn down looks because you can go and play on the backside, and he creates causes so many dominoes to fall. But when he's not, you turn down that first open look and then go looking for something else, and it may not open up again, And so I think starters, we got to take the first open ones. Not mildly contested ones, but if they're open, you got to let it go. So I think that's where it starts for us.
You guys are obviously facing elimination. It's later stage of yours and Steph's career. Do you expect him to almost try to push himself back considering the circumstances? And do you have to be part of a conversation of him maybe having to protect himself from rushing back?
No, we're not going to Superman this thing. If he's in a place where he could play, I'm sure he will, and him and Rick and everybody will figure that out, but we don't need Superman. Got to play the long game. So if he can, we know he will, but there's no pressure. We got to figure out how to win whether he play or not.
Draymond, you were talking about defending Ant. He was obviously a tough cover his first few years in the league, but now that his three is so much better, how much tougher is he? And is there anyone really in the league who has that combination of three-point ability and dynamic drives to the basket?
No. There is no one. He is a one-on-one. But I think, with the increased volume, the ability that he's worked his tail off for to be able to shoot the ball like that, makes him a tough cover for sure. But I think we also got to do a better job. Like, his first ones can't be off an offensive rebound, kick out threes. I think he's using some of them to get going the last couple games. So we got to do a better job there of taking those away. And if we don't get the rebound, you got to go into a scramble, not give up them open threes.
Draymond, with Jimmy, what's the difference tonight when he takes 9 shots as opposed to the last game when he's taken 26?
I mean, we obviously need them shooting the ball, but their defense, they were collapsing on them today. So we tried to pick up that slack. But I know he's not feeling well. Been pretty crappy all day, so that also affects the energy as well. But no excuses made here. I think that's on me. I got to find a way to get him in position, more position to score. I think tonight I was just trying to get him the ball, and I don't think I got him the ball in good spots, which then allowed the defense to load up on him. So I got to do a better job there of getting him the ball in better spots to where it's not as easy for the defense to key on him.
Hey, Draymond, can you talk about just morale of Steph at this point? Like, how's he holding up? You saying you don't want to be Superman, but I'm sure he's putting the weight of the franchise on him. And just overall, just your thoughts on just how, I guess, unlucky the playoffs can be sometimes. Tatum looked like he's done for the season. I don't know if you saw that or knew that, but just, I guess, the life of the playoffs.
Yeah. When you're competing for championships or trying to, the most important thing you can have on your side is health. You start getting a month, 2.5 months longer into the already long season, and injuries are more likely to happen. So you try to do all that you can to prevent that. Send my love to JT. Never wish any injury on anybody, hoping that it's not what everyone thinks it is. Such a great young talent in this league. Does everything the right way. So hate to see him go down. As far as Steph, he's working his tail off every day. He's in here 8-9 hours a day, working, doing what he can to try to get back. So, his morale is great. Obviously, nobody's excited right now, but he's working to get back. That's all you can do at this point.
Draymond, this is the third straight game where Jonathan Kuminga's had a good scoring game. I was wondering, for you, what is it about this series where the spacing hasn't been ideal that he's been able to get to the basket, get to the rim, and what do you expect to see from him in Game 5?
Same thing he's been doing. Putting pressure on the rim, getting out in transition, attacking seams where he can. But I've always said he's a special talent. You get the ball in his hands and let him figure it out. That's what I try to do. Expect him to have a big game for us in Game 5, but, we need him to continue to play with that same aggression. So we definitely need it.
Draymond, if Steph can't go in Game 5, what's the non-negotiables you guys absolutely have to have in order to come out of Minnesota with a win?
We got to get loose balls, long rebounds. I thought we did a pretty good job of pushing the pace for parts of the game today, but if you get loose balls and those long rebounds, that ramps that up even more, They get offensive rebounds, get the loose balls. We're taking the ball out the net. We're already missing our number one guy who makes the dominoes fall, so it makes it that much tougher. So got to come up with all the loose balls and set that type of tone, and then defensively got to be really good. You can't give up 117 points without Steph, you're probably losing, because the likelihood that we're going to score 117 points without him is not that high. So everyone has to commit to getting it done on the defensive end, everybody being on the string. That's how we can give ourselves a chance.
To follow up from the other night, could you elaborate on what you meant by the agenda, statement you made?
I've moved on.
What has it been like for Steph on the bench watching these games he can't play in? Is he silent? Is he talkative? Is he angsty? What do you feel coming off of him?
He's not silent. He's talking, communicating with everyone. He's kind of a voice between the coaches and the players, at the moment. But you can tell he's antsy. He grabbed the ball here and there, started dribbling, want to shoot. He's definitely antsy, but, he's as involved as he can be.
All right, we got Looney ready to go.
No doubt.
A lot of that, everything in that locker room. What's kind of the mood? What's the mindset in there now?
The mindset and mood's still very high. We're keeping our hopes, we're keeping our energy, our vibe still great. Because we all just got to go get that one. But I think everybody's mindset is it's good. Nobody's down.
To kind of follow up on that, you being one of the younger players, obviously there are some guys here that have won some championships, right? But then with everyone else, is there a sense of, well, you kind of said no, but a sense of panic knowing that it's do or die from here on out in this series?
It's the next game is going to be about do or die, because we need if we get that one, everything going to be settled down. And I'll say it's a big one, and we just got to go out there and figure it out how to get it.
And knowing that it's a big one going into Game 5, knowing that you've found some rhythm out there in the last 2 games, how does that make you feel going specifically about your game going into Game 5?
No, I feel very comfortable. I feel comfortable. I feel ready. No matter any circumstance, I know what I got to go out there and provide.
What were they able to do defensively in 17-0-1 to you and Jimmy to kind of just maybe keep things from being as easy as they were maybe inside the paint?
I think we just panic because it was making everything, and I think that was the only time we should have just settled down, and we let our guards down. I think that's pretty much it. We just panicked a little bit.
At one point in the third quarter, you guys had a lineup out there with no point guard. What were those minutes like for you, and how was the spacing in general in that third quarter?
I think Draymond was our point guard. He's been a point guard his whole life. I didn't really see any problem. I feel like things were going well.
Jimmy only took 9 shots tonight. I was wondering, did you feel like you need to be a little more aggressive tonight, knowing that Jimmy, and I think it was Steve, said he was a little bit under the weather? I was wondering about that. No?
I don't think so.
Yes. Great.
How can you guys find a way to score, without Steph, which is obviously the life of this series is without him?
We're trying to push the tempo, get extra possessions, play through Jimmy. I think JK's been really aggressive. He's been scoring. I think everybody else has got to, take the open shots and different things like that. I think we scored decent today. I think we didn't get enough stops to win the game. We talking about winning with our defense, and I don't think we did a good enough job to get the win.
What do you feel?
Oh, sorry. And how do you? What's it like battling with Gobert, and you also got Julius Randle out there, and even McDaniel's getting in the paint. What's that like?
It presents its challenges. Randle had it going today. He had a bunch of tough shots. He tipped your hat off to him. He made some tough ones. I felt like we guarded him decent. We can still do a better job. But him, Rudy, they're carrying put a lot of pressure on the rim, which just causes a lot of kick out for threes and different things like that. So we got to do a better job of protecting our paint and being able to defend the 3-point line.
What do you feel like went wrong in the third quarter?
I think we had a little bit too many turnovers. We talked about winning the possession game, and I think in that third we kind of turned the ball over a little bit, and that led into some Edwards threes, and they got their confidence, and we was having a tough time scoring. So I think us getting a good shot every time, and getting back in transition is going to be was big in the third.
Kevon, Draymond talked about you just got to win one game.
Yeah.
What gives you the belief and the signs that you can get the Game 5 win in Minnesota and get it back here?
We feel like we can play a lot better. We feel like we got a good game plan to win a game. We just got to execute it. We done did it for 36 minutes, 40 minutes. We got to do it for a whole 48. And I think if we do that, we can go out there and win. We have belief, we have faith. We'll take it possession by possession, quarter by quarter. We got to put together a full game and not just 40 good minutes of basketball.
Kevon, how does your guys' offense change when you're getting 9 shots from Jimmy as opposed to when he's taking 26?
Jimmy is a great manager of the game. He kind of knows when he needs to shoot more and knows when to, he's trying to pick his spots. We never really say, "Oh, you got to be more aggressive," because he knows when he needs to push the buttons and when he needs to go. We have the ultimate faith that he's going to make the right decision when he's in the paint, because he gets to the paint when he wants to, just deciding when he's going to take the shots or he's going to kick it out to other guys. So we kind of just follow his lead and do whatever he does.
How have you seen him battle through what he's been dealing with physically? And it sounds like maybe he was under the weather a little bit tonight.
Definitely, he's a tough guy. He don't really talk about everything that he has going on, but we know he's fighting through injuries and other ailments. But he's our leader, and we kind of got to follow what he does. We can't complain about it's that time of year where guys are hurting, and we know. We give a lot of credit for him pushing through the injury that a lot of guys probably would sit out with. So, he's been a blessing for our team, and we've just got to follow his league, and we're gonna keep following him, and hopefully follow for a win next game.
Kevon, you've been teammates with Steph for a long time. How would you characterize his mood as he's trying to get back and have a chance in this series?
He's been Steph's same as always. He's pretty upbeat. You can tell it's killing him not being able to be on the floor, but he's trying to keep a positive spirit, because we need his leadership, we need his energy. Even though he's not playing, we need to he brings that he still gives that confidence and that that wealth of knowledge that he has on the sideline, and everybody kind of looks to him still for for guidance and for his wisdom. So he's been starting to stay positive, but we know he's extremely frustrated not being out there. But when he's on the court, he's just trying to coach us up.
What are some of the controllables you guys feel like you could manage better in Game 5?
The turnovers, the second chance points. Those are the biggest thing we keep talking about. Trying to keep the guys off the free throw line. I think we fouled a little bit too much today too as well. So those are the things that we got to win in the margins, and I don't think we've been doing a good job of that the last few games.
Is there anything the Wolves are doing to force those turnovers? Anything particular or special they're doing?
They're a great defensive team, especially when we get in the half court. They're long, athletic, and they're putting a lot of ball pressure on us. So it makes it tough. But we just got to be more organized, get to our spots, and get to our space, and we'll be able to score.
You happened in that third quarter, obviously, pretty much an avalanche. What did you see happening to your team?
Well, Ant got going, and we decided to go to a bigger lineup with J.K. and Trace, Draymond, Jimmy, just to try to slow them down and slow Ant down. And obviously didn't work. They kept scoring, and we couldn't score. So we just lost our ability to connect the game there in that third quarter, and they got loose, and that was the difference in the game.
Where did you see the main issues defensively tonight?
Well, they went 16 for 34 from three. It felt like there were some in the third quarter where we got disconnected defensively, and they got wide open looks. I also thought they hit some really tough shots as well. They played a great game, and obviously took it to us. And we've got to bounce back. We got a flight to Minneapolis tomorrow and a chance to extend the series and and that's the plan.
Steve, hypothetical, but if Steph on game day said, I feel I can go, I want to give it a try, would he go then, or there's a possibility he would be overruled?
When are we giving the update? Wednesday we'll have an update.
Steve, after taking 26 shots in Game 3, Jimmy only has 9 tonight. What were you seeing from him, what the Wolves are doing defensively, and just how he was playing overall?
Well, he wasn't as aggressive tonight, but I didn't see a lot of openings either. You know, it's ideally we could put more shooting around him to open up the floor a little bit. But you know, with Steph out, you know, we're not going to be able to do as much of that. But with that said, we'll look at the tape and see where we can find some openings for him. And I know he'll be aggressive for Game 5.
Steve, another tough shooting night for Brandon. I know he does other things, but at what point does he just have to make shots for you guys to be successful in this series?
Well, again, it's the series changed with Steph's injury, so everybody's shots are going to be more difficult. There's just, you know, Steph's the guy who breaks the defense down for us and creates that offensive flow, and I think the end result is that shots are more difficult for every single guy. So I thought BP played really hard tonight, did some really good things. We pushed the tempo. You know, we scored 60 points in the first half. So we did some good things. We just couldn't sustain it overall.
You know yet if Steph's making the trip regardless?
I assume he is, but I haven't asked him.
You mentioned it, and you've kind of alluded to it in a few of your answers, but you 8 of 27 from 3 tonight. And I know even at the beginning of the year, you guys wanted to be really high volume of threes, and that's with Steph obviously in the mix. But how much of an issue is just the straight volume of attempts right now and the lack of?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that you know, we're playing some lineups that don't have a ton of spacing by necessity to be able to guard and to be able to hang defensively. There's just not going to be as many openings, and we know that. So we do feel like if we can push the tempo, you know, force some turnovers, we can get some open looks in transition. But yeah, without Steph, the game changes, and you know, we have to adapt accordingly, and we're probably not going to take as many threes.
Steve, you obviously saw Anthony Edwards for 6 weeks last summer in practices, not just the games, but how much did you see his three improving the way it obviously has, and how much does that change the equation? I mean, he was always a tough cover, but I imagine now when he's making threes like that, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, this has been an amazing shooting year for him, you know, shooting as many as he is, I think 10 or 11 per game. That's way up from his first few years in the league. So I think the last couple summers have been great for him with USA Basketball, you know, working out every day with all those guys. And Chris has done a great job with him, with that team. And it's a natural progression for Anthony to be doing what he's doing, given how talented he is and what a good shooter he is. So his threes, obviously, he had some really tough ones tonight. The one at the end of the first half was incredible. So he's a great player, and you know, that's the challenge. We've got to try to slow him down in Game 5.
One quick follow-up. He said on his ESPN interview that he worked with Steph a lot last summer. How much did you see them interacting in practices?
Yeah,
you know?
every day, all those guys. You know, that's one of the really fun parts of that whole experience is seeing all these world-class players feed off of each other. And, yeah, Ant was right in the middle of all that with Steph, with Bam, Book. All those guys would shoot, you know, after practice every day. And but like I said, you know, he was already a great player. But I think the experience probably helped him, and you know, his shooting has dramatically improved volume-wise, percentage-wise.
Coach, pregame, I asked you about possible sidebars that you've had with a few of the players. When it comes to Jimmy, are you asking him to be more aggressive, or do you pretty much appreciate his ability to kind of pass up on his own shot and try to find somebody?
I don't have to say a whole lot to Jimmy. You know, we collaborate all the time, and we talk about ideas, and I always feel like he has a great sense for the game. And and he does whatever's necessary to win. He's proven that, not only here since we traded for him, but over the years. He knows what's needed, and I'm confident that Game 5, he's the ultimate competitor. He'll be ready to roll.
Steve, you guys, I know you like to close halves and quarters a certain way. And at the end of the first half, you guys really had a nice thing going until the very end. And how big, you mentioned Ant's shot, how big was that shot at that time?
Yeah, it was a big shot. I thought the way we defended it was great. I mean, Gary was all over him. Draymond came out to double, and he hits a step back 30-footer. There's not much you can do about that.
Steve, you talked pregame how you were expecting Draymond to bounce back and kind of give you the spark like he did at the start of this game. What did you see from him throughout the game, and how do you expect he's going to go into this next game?
I thought he was great. I thought the way he pushed the tempo, his energy, his approach, his competitiveness, I thought Draymond played a great game.
You mentioned how Steph, obviously, that changes the shots. Does that also, some of the reason or all of the reason why Moody and Quentin have been so hard to get into this series, or how they're basically out of the rotation right now just because the flow is so different for them?
Yeah, that's part of it. I think, as I said after the Game 1 injury, we've had to sort of reformulate everything to put the best possible two-way lineups on the floor. And it's just the way it's shaken out. And we have to reconsider, given the result tonight. We've got to look at Game 5 and see if we want to make any lineup changes and rotation changes. But those guys will both be ready. I thought the last 4.5 minutes was fantastic. The young guys going out there, playing the way they did, forcing Minnesota to keep their starters out there. That's important. It's always important to close games well. And I loved what those guys did. And they all played well, and that matters to me, looking at what's next for Game 5. Thanks.